Please put your hands together and welcome my guest today, Brian Scalabrine. Welcome to town, sir.
Good intro.
Thanks, man. Hey, look, I'm sitting next to a media legend. I got my intro game has to be tight too. You know?
So you look at me as a media legend?
I think media legend? Yeah, look at the thumbs ups here.
I just started in the media game. I'm like 5 years in. How can I be a legend? Like Tommy Heinsohn, now that's a legend.
Hashtag witness. I'm just saying.
Okay.
Just putting that out there. Brian, before we get into your career, I want to ask a media question.
Sure.
Because something has happened with you where you are an icon to fans who are so young that your career is something they sort of remember. We've got kids here about 10 that watch you every night, that listen to you. Is that a strange transition for someone who's still in their 30s?
No, it wasn't, because I just am me on air. I didn't have to like make up a fake persona or anything like that. The way I watched basketball when I was sitting at the end of the bench is the same way I'm doing right now. I'm just happening to sit next to Mike Gorman and they give me a microphone to talk into. So it's not really strange. What's a little bit strange is with the ascension of memes and like attaching me to memes. That's why these kids actually know who I am. YouTube as well, you know, so there's like a few things, NBA 2K, there's like those few pop culture references have sort of made my career more than it really has been.
That's fantastic. It's neat to think of the way that, because when you and I were growing up, I mean, this might surprise you kids, telephones were stuck to the wall, we weren't able to create memes, right? So when you made the transition from player to to coach and then to broadcasting, was there any worry? And was anyone in Boston? You've got icons guiding you along. Was there any one or two people who really took you under their wing and said, "Come with me, Scal"?
Yeah, no question about it. So first of all, Tommy Heinsohn did not take me under his wing. That took like 3 years to happen before he finally talked to me. So, but Mike Gorman, right away, this is what you need to do. We have a producer, Paul Lucy, and I told them right off the jump, you know, this funny thing about the media business is everyone says, "Oh, you've done such a great job. Oh, great job, great work, great this, great that." I told those guys right from the start, like, I don't want to hear that. I want to hear what I need to do better, because I know I'm not good. I know I just started out, and everyone, when you first start out, it's going to be a struggle. Everyone needs to do it. They need to work. They need to get better. When they say you're a natural, no one's a natural at anything. They're a natural because they put a ton of work in, and they are around people that took them under their wings, and they've helped me. And I told those guys, listen, whatever I do wrong, tell me right away. I can handle it. And typically most athletes, guys in the NBA or any professional sports, they can take criticism. It's fine. Whatever it is, let me know what I need to do, and I'll do better next time.
Now, legend has it that when you stepped away from the game, you turned down a coaching gig with Tibbs.
I did, yeah.
Because you wanted to go into the media. Were those long conversations with the wife, or was that a matter of like you just scratching?
You really want to get into those conversations with my wife?
She's not listening.
Yeah,
go ahead.
So, yeah, she's not here right now, so totally we can get into that. So raise your hand if you know Tom Thibodeau. Raise your hand if you think he's insane. Nobody? Come on. So, no, Tom's my guy. Like, that's my guy. But the idea of taking a coaching job with him, which he was coaching for the Chicago Bulls, I just got done playing for the Bulls. He wanted me to be on staff. That was a hard thing to say no to. Remember, when I finished playing with the Celtics, he was the first guy and the last guy to call me and say, "I want you on my team." And, you know, from my point of view, I'm 9 years into the NBA, and he's, you know, reaching out to me, and he wants me on his team to help develop these young guys. Yeah. Bring these young guys along, the Joakim Noahs, the Taj Gibsons of the world, right? So that meant a lot to me as a player. But when he asked me to be a coach, I knew what that was going to entail. And I don't know if you guys understand this. Like, these coaches, man, 14, 16-hour days, they're grinding out. I don't know. Their families are moving around all kinds of places as they try to climb the ladder. And after all those years of playing in the NBA, I still wanted to do that because of my relationship with Tibbs. But my wife was pregnant with my son, and that gave me the ultimate excuse to tell Tibbs, my wife's pregnant, man, I can't do it. So I had an out. But if she wasn't, I probably would have ended up doing it, because at that point, I couldn't tell him no. And that was a tough tough decision for me, but I'm glad I did. I never really wanted to coach. I always wanted to be in this business. And because Tommy Heinsohn stopped traveling when I was a player, I knew that this was a position was gonna open, and these positions don't open very often.
Wow, you really had the court vision to recognize that this was happening.
Yeah, that would be like in 2009.
Yeah.
I thought like, no, this is what I want to do.
That's fantastic. No, I'm interested in, so you're drafted by the Nets. You told me a little bit of the story off mic, and so I'm wondering how much of it you're willing to tell the rest of us. You drafted by the Nets and play your rookie contract out. Then enter the free agent market. The Celtics show you 5 years and a considerable amount of money.
Sure.
What was that like, getting that moment when you realized that 5 years guaranteed money in the NBA? That's a lifestyle commitment, and you are wanted by that franchise.
Yeah, it's a weird thing to say, because like so many people, and I am as well, like even now I'm sort of like, what am I gonna do with my life and career and everything like that? And money always comes into play, right? Sure. But at that time, I was looking for like the best opportunity. I wanted to play, and sometimes with finances or commitment comes more opportunity. So I played a lot with the Nets. I averaged like 23 minutes a game that year. And Jason Kidd, who'll be going into Hall of Fame this September, he was on my team. And the one thing about him, I mean, he could be the GOAT of making players better than they really are, because he made me, Richard Jefferson, Kenyon Martin, and we can go down the list when he was with Phoenix and Antonio McDyess. It's just he's made guys around him better. So Jason made me better, and because of that, I got this great opportunity. But remember, I also had to go to Jason's house, who was like one of my best friends at the time, and tell him that I was leaving. But thank you for everything you've done for me. If it wasn't for you, I wouldn't be able to do this and make this money. But thank you so much, and I'm out of here. And I told that to Rod Thorne, and he was ecstatic. And he had the right to match. Like, he could have gave me the same amount of money. He was like, congratulations. You better sign that deal right away. And he was happy for me, who's also going to the Hall of Fame this September. But Jason Kidd was devastated.
Was he?
Another guy that I got paid, he's going to leave me. Now I got to do it all over again. So, I mean, we were really close off the court as well. But, you know, like if I never got, the NBA is interesting. We know probably everyone in this building was going to be a solid NBA player for a long time. But there are guys below that where opportunity comes, it ends up turning into like situations create opportunity. Me getting drafted by the Nets, them running Princeton offense, me playing with Jason Kidd allowed me to play 11 years in the NBA.
Yeah.
I go to another place that maybe focuses on isolation basketball. I could be out of the league in 3 years, and maybe I had a great European career, but that scenario right there was a perfect scenario for me as a rookie going into that situation.
And I'm wondering, coming out of Southern Cal, and I'm really excited about your college journey too. We'll talk about that in a moment, because it didn't start at Southern Cal, and I think that speaks a lot to your work ethic. As a rookie, walking into your first locker room and seeing Jason Kidd, more fear, more excitement, 50-50. How does that pizza slice up?
Yeah, excited. So on the contrary to how good I was compared to how good of the people I was going against, I always thought I was a really good player. I always thought that you might be better than me over the course of your career, but today or this possession, I'm better than you. And that's the way I thought. So I thought it was like a great opportunity to play with Jason. And if he was on the starters and I was on the second team, great opportunity to beat these guys. And that's just like sort of my mindset. I don't feel like that type of pressure that, oh man, I'm not gonna play well. I believe I'm gonna play well. And everybody that plays sports, all you kids out there, you might be going against a guy who's like better than you, more touted than you, whatever. That day, you could be better than them. And I've seen it a million times before. LeBron James is our generation's greatest player. He has been outplayed before. Like Paul Pierce did win that battle, and we go on to the NBA Finals. So on any given night, you can be better than. On any given possession, you can be better than. The typical, what makes the guys in this building special is around, I know it's gonna sound crazy, it's around 2 or 3 extra plays that they make that next guy who's not in this building is not making. But you add that up over 82 games, 106 possessions in a game, 11 years, 15 years in the league, that's a whole lot of plays that guy is making, which reason why they end up in this building.
And so you go from Jason Kidd, a fierce, intense leader who you obviously bonded with. And I would argue that playing with the Jason Kidds, the Kenyon Martins, prepared you to play with the Kevin Garnetts, the Rajon Rondos, the Paul Pierces of the world. And so 2008 happens. That's a neat thing. Just 2008 happens, right? That fantastic run. Now, at the time, it looked like Camp Celtics. It looked like everyone was just having a blast. But in the years since, we've all gotten the picture of that. That was hard work. There were a lot of guys in the locker room working really hard to make that soup delicious on a nightly basis.
Sure.
Was there any moment when you thought in that season, in that run, man, this is definitely going to happen? Or conversely, we're really all putting egos aside every night, and this is harder than it looks.
So the 2 previous years when I got to Boston, we were not good, right? We lost, and then we got Ray Allen Garnett. We got our butts kicked by the Chicago Bulls. They had Scott Skiles was their coach. They had a lot of guards. They were relentless at attacking the basket. Their bigs were active. So we played them in the previous 2 years and lost 17, 21, 32, whatever. We played so bad in this insignificant game in February. I mean, one of the worst games we possibly could have played, and our defense was so good that we beat them by like 17 points. Right then and there, I was like, if we're beating these guys, this hard-playing team, this bad, there's no way we're going to lose 4 out of 7 games.
Wow.
And that was the moment in which at one point you think you're going to win, and you're like, okay, we're building championship caliber habits. We're going to win a championship. But once that day happened, I'm like, there's no team out there that's going to be able to score on our defense. And we don't have to shoot the ball well, but you're going to have to score on our defense and score, 95, 98, 100 points against us for 4 games in a 7-game series. It's just not going to happen. And right then and there, I knew we were going to win a title.
That second unit was so fun, too. That second unit
highly
on that
competitive.
Team.
That group was the most competitive group I've ever been around in my life. From on the plane, in the weight room, the court, practice court. It was nonstop. You had to be on edge every single moment. We would bet $1,000 on a free throw. I mean, it's like when you talk about the pressure of being around those guys, I mean, like they'd be all in your face and you'd have to shoot, and you can only hit the rim one time. If it hit the rim in the front and the back, you lose $1,000. So it was highly, highly, highly competitive everywhere we went, and it sort of showed when you watch that team. That team was relentless.
Now, here's the part that I told you was coming. I have 3 questions left for Brian Scalabrine. After that, a handful of you will get your opportunity. So start thinking about stuff that I've left on the floor, things that you wish I was asking that I haven't yet. And I'll ask for volunteers in a moment. You'll be recognized by our great Hoop Hall staff. That'll put you in line to our right, your left, and you'll get that opportunity. Now, let's rewind to college and your journey. Because you, growing up in Washington, I think everyone assumes that you're a Southern Cal guy because that's when people pick up on your story. But you decided to go the community college route out of a small town in Washington and then earn your way onto the Southern Cal team. Can you talk about the way that instilled in you the fire in your belly that we still see? I mean, sitting right here, it's pretty clear.
So when I was going into my senior year in high school, I had one college coach sit in my living room and offer me a half scholarship. So my mom was like, well, which would have been great, right? Like, I think if I look at my children right now and some coach came in to my living room and I would say, that's great, we're gonna pay, I think it would have been $36,000 for a 4-year degree. Like, a lot of people are like, man, what a great opportunity. It was a Division II school in Seattle. It was my mom that was like, you know what? You've improved a lot from your sophomore to junior, what we're seeing right now heading into your senior year. Why don't we pass on that and see what happens? So I was like, sure, let's roll the dice, see what happens. So that year, my senior year happens, and I just wasn't that good. I didn't get to that level. That scholarship was still out there, so we ended up going to junior college. But funny thing, so I grew up in the suburbs of Seattle, 40 miles outside. You know, I played pickup ball. I played against a lot of older guys, and it was fine. But until I started playing in downtown Seattle, playing in the inner cities, and realizing that if I bring the ball down and I just get like, I mean, they would slap the ball away or rake my arms, and I was like, man, I can't do that. I'd have cuts all through my arms, because in my neighborhood, I was allowed to do that. But in the city of Seattle, I bring the ball down, slap, every single time. So in about 3 months, I learned that. Within that 3 months, I also learned to play like a little bit above the rim. Like when you go up to dunk the ball. If you can't, then you lay it up. Don't go up to lay it up. That's not how you play when you're playing against guys who play above the rim. So in those 3 months, I went from like that half scholarship to pretty much like 95% of all colleges would have gave me a full ride scholarship. Just from like having the basis of playing all that basketball that I had. And I was in great shape, and I lifted, and I did all the things I needed to do. But just changing my playing style allowed me to now go to a 4-year school.
So what was the recruitment like the second time around? Do you think that you were able to appreciate it more because of how empty the living room was 2 years prior?
Nah, you know, I made a quick decision on that one.
Did you?
USC like came. I asked Washington, University of Washington, if I can get a scholarship, and they like went back and forth a little bit. USC came, and they came aggressive, like 1,000 letters at my house, and they were in my living room, and they were like forcing me, you should sign with us.
Was that Tim Floyd? Was that the Floyd?
No, it was Henry Bibby.
Oh, even cooler.
So then at that point, it was like, well, these guys really want me. And they were like talking about the things that I do, like more ball handling forward. They weren't talking about things that I'm not good at. They were talking about things I am good at. Setting up the offense, moving the ball, cutting hard, you know, using me off screens. Like, so once I started hearing they were speaking the language that I liked, then I just signed with them.
Absolutely. So with all of the things that you have on the table, with your work on radio, with your work on TV, with your consistent association with the Celtics, is it strange as a guy to have everyone calling you by your nickname? Right, you're Brian, and yet strangers are like, "What's up, Scal?"
It's weird when people call me Brian.
Is it?
There's 5 people in the world that call me Brian. Like my wife, my mom, like my old agent, but even them, they're like calling me Scal. So
I love that.
It's more people call me the White Mamba than Brian.
Do they?
So yeah. So don't call me Brian. Or Mr. Brian or Mr. Scalabrine. You can call me Scal or Mr. Mamba. That's totally cool.
Mr. Mamba. Do you have questions for Brian Scalabrine? Now is the time to raise your hand. One of the great Hoop Hall staffers will come around and recognize a handful of you, put you in line to our right, your left. Scal, my last question for you is, this is not your first time doing this event, sitting here on center court underneath all those who have come before, with Shaq staring at us and Coach Roy Williams staring, all the people staring at us. Can you put this moment into context of all the things you've done, of all the awards you've won, championships you've won? What is it like to be able to get into your car, drive to the Basketball Hall of Fame, sit on center court, and have people wearing jerseys of your team?
You know how I look at everything from the time I was a kid to now, and like even going into my next career. And this is for like a lot of you guys. I hope that when you listen to me talk, you realize how much I love the game of basketball. I don't watch football. I respect it. I don't watch baseball, hockey. I don't do any of that. I love basketball. I watch basketball. I talk basketball. My friends are all in that circle. So in a weird way, yeah, it's amazing that I'm here talking, but with all the work that I put in and my love and passion for the game, like, how am I not here talking about this, right? Like, this is what I was supposed to do, because I truly, from the time I wake up every morning when I was like 10 years old, what am I gonna do today to become a better basketball player? Did you see that game last night? Man, did you see that comeback that North Carolina had against Duke? Like, I'm all about what's going on in basketball. So of course, I'm like involved in this game. By the way, tomorrow, I'm going, actually not tomorrow, I guess tonight, 1:50 a.m., I'm heading to Manila to watch 3-on-3 basketball in Manila for a week with the NBA. So it doesn't stop for me. I love the game. I've never been to Southeast Asia. I hear the Philippines love hoops, so I'm excited about going. It's more basketball for me. So I don't have a lot of stuff in my life. I have all my work, which happens usually to be talking about basketball. I have my family, which like 2 of my 3 kids play basketball, so it's great. And we always talk hoops and watch YouTube and all that stuff. And I have like my career, and that's it. That's all I really have. And it's all usually centered around something that I'm passionate and I love.
Scal, come back anytime. Ladies and gentlemen, Brian Scalabrine. Now, Scal, what I didn't tell you is I give you the easy questions.
I know.
The fastballs are right over here.
Perfect.
So let's bring them on. Let's take on all the questions. I only have 2 requirements. One, you allow me to hold the microphone, and the other is that you introduce yourself to Scal before you ask the question. So come on in. I see a couple Golden State Warriors things. That's okay. We can take Warriors questions, right?
Yeah, I mean, I did coach there, so.
All right, that's true. That's true.
What are some of the best teammates you've ever played with in your whole entire career?
Yeah, so Jason Kidd, because he made me really good, and Kevin Garnett is a outside of the, I'm going to hit my head on the stanchion, and I don't talk to anybody during the game, before the game, or 5 minutes after the game. He's actually the most caring teammate I've ever been around. He cares about the top guys, the bottom guys, the guys who are going to get cut. We were in Rome. He bought 3 custom-made suits for 3 guys who I knew were not going to be on our team. They weren't going to make the team. He bought them for all the film guys, the interns, everybody like that. He's always like looking out for people. Ball boys on the road, he takes care of them. He is the most generous and thoughtful person outside of when he turns into an insane man.
Thank you very much. What was your name?
Brody.
Brody, thank you very much. Excellent question. All right, bring it on. How are you, sir?
What's your name? Amir.
Hi, Amir. What's your question?
What's your inspiration? What's your favorite player growing up?
So my favorite player growing up, so let's take it in 2 stages. But by the way, like I'm sure like your favorite player probably changes a lot too, right?
Yeah.
It was this guy, then it's this guy, it's Kyrie, now it's Steph, and it's LeBron, and then it's like, okay. So when I was really, really young, I lived in Los Angeles, and it was Magic. I got older, and I moved to Seattle. It was Detlef Schrempf. If you guys remember Det, like he played for the Sonics. He was awesome. He was a 3-man. He had left-hand hooks, right? He was unbelievable. And then when I finally got older and like know the game, my all-time favorite player is Larry Bird. How he did that night in and night out was ridiculous. And his 3 years, I would argue, are probably the greatest 3 years that anybody had ever put together. So it's always changing. Right now, last season, my favorite player was sort of Ben Simmons. I'm not liking Ben Simmons anymore. Like Philadelphia is one of our rivals. I got to get a new favorite player. So my favorite player nowadays is always shifting.
Thank you, Amir. Do you want some homework? Google Detlef Schrempf. All right, bring it on. How are you, sir?
Good. Introduce yourself and go right ahead. I'm Teddy Burke. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
When you were on the 2008 Celtics Championship team, going through that process, going through the whole season, what was the most important thing you learned being around the basketball IQ and work ethic of like Paul Pierce, Rondo, Allen, and Garnett? What's the most important thing they taught you?
So I think you mentioned like 2 separate things there. One of them was, let me tell you, Pierce, Ray Allen, and Garnett, all they did is one-up each other on how hard they worked. Like Ray Allen and his 2.5 miles of running in the morning, and he played at night, 5 miles on an off day. Paul Pierce played 40 minutes, wake up at 9 a.m., play one-on-one again or the next day, and Garnett never missed a workout. I think that level, it sort of brought everybody up. Like, what am I going to do if I'm seeing these guys do that? I have to bring my A game up. And then the basketball IQ of Rondo, I think it passed on to everybody. Everyone's level because of Rajon Rondo's IQ, which is the highest I've ever seen, and it's not even close. I think everyone had to become smarter because of him. Like, he thought, like, it was like him and Doc, and then, like, the rest of us, you know? And my whole thing about team, like I don't know if you're on a team or not, or any of you guys play on a team, the better people you can be around, the smarter people you can be around, that's how you're going to become a better basketball player or just in general improve your life. And those 4 guys were so unique that everybody on that team improved.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Excellent question. I told you these were the hard ones. These are
a good question.
Good questions. Hey, bud.
Hi, Scal. If you could pick any team to be on in history, what team would you pick?
Oh, that's a good question. Any team in history?
Yeah.
Probably the '86 Celtics, because I think I would really fit in well with how much they passed the ball and they worked on ball movement and shooting. But I would like to be a part of, to see the Celtics, my era, now that I get to see the Celtics in this new era, it would be great to see the Celtics in the 80s. So I would probably pick that team.
Okay. Great. Thank you. If the NBA 2K people are listening, can we make that happen? Can we put Scal on the 86 Celtics? Can we make that happen?
You know, Ronnie 2K, who does all the ratings, or allegedly does all the ratings, he's a buddy of mine.
Is he?
Yeah, so.
We got to make that happen.
Yeah, you should be able to take, like, championship Celtic teams and move players. Like, Bird should be able to play on our team.
That would, oh my God.
I'm gonna text them. I'm gonna get that done.
Let's make this happen.
How's it going, buddy? Hi. I'm Robbie. I was wondering if, when you were a kid, like growing up, was there any point in your life where you knew definitively that you were gonna be a big basketball player and be able to play in the NBA with the likes of Kevin Garnett, Ray Allen, and them?
Is that your one question, or you have a second one?
No, that's just my
okay.
question.
So no, I never, ever, ever imagined. No, not imagined, because I can dream, right? But thought I was going to make it to the NBA. When I graduated from college and I got drafted, I wasn't sure I was going to make it to the NBA. When I went to Summer League that year and played in Summer League, I thought I'm an NBA player. When I went to training camp that first year, I knew I was an NBA player. But until you do it, give you like a side story. When I was in junior college, you guys remember Sean Kemp? I'm talking like the in-shape Sean Kemp. When I was in junior college, the Seattle Supersonics would call me and say, come in and work out some of our guys. Well, I worked out against Sean Kemp and some other guys, right? And I was fighting him. I'm giving my all, right? I mean, he like picked me up, moved me out of the way, got the ball, drop stepped, I flew backward, boom, he dunked it. The thought that went through my head, well, I ain't never gonna make it to the NBA. No shot. But the reality is, not everyone is Sean Kemp, right? And I was like a skinny junior college kid. I got a lot bigger and stronger. I worked really hard. Not to say that I was ever better or could stop him or anything like that, but me going against one of the best power forwards at that time as a junior college player just made my mind saying, like, there ain't no way I'm ever gonna make it, right? Another story, when I was working out, so I graduated from college, I'm working out. Joe Johnson, you know the name? Okay, he went to Arkansas. A lot of people didn't know who he was coming out of the draft. And I'm working out with him before the draft, and he is busting my you-know-what. So I called my mom and said, Mom, I don't think I'm gonna make it, because this guy, I don't even know his name, is out here killing me. I mean, he is destroying me every possession. Well, come to find out, Joe Johnson's like one of the big-time players in the NBA. I just didn't know that at the time. So my reality, I was never going to be like a Hall of Famer or an All-Star, but there's a big group of people who can make the NBA and stick there or stay if the right circumstances happened.
One more question. Who was your favorite player that you ever got to play against? Like, who is like your favorite competition of your career?
In an NBA game?
Yes. In an NBA game.
Garnett. Yeah. Before he came over,
yeah.
I got a chance to start that day, and he did everything he could to intimidate me for the first 8 minutes. And my stoic, I'm not moving, I'm not backing down, none of that. I kind of gained his respect that day. When he came back, he on the side, he would never admit it to anybody else. On the side, he was like, yo, man, I knew you were for real that time, that you guarded me. So I was like, yeah, respect.
Great, thank you very much. All right, let's bring in the closer. How's it going, bud? Speaking of intimidation, huh?
Yeah.
Look at this.
I'm Matt.
Matt?
How many hours would you practice a day?
So it changed as I got older. So what do you want to know? Early, middle, as an NBA player?
NBA.
So in the NBA, you watch film, you work out, extra conditioning, sometimes swimming, all that stuff. You shoot, you go to practice, you play one-on-one, you do all those extra things. I left my house and I would return my house 8 hours later. Yeah.
You can do 8 hours, right?
But when I was a kid, it's all about quality time. You could spend, if you were really locked in and focused, if you spend an hour a day, of hard, locked in and focused work, you spend an hour a day on your own skills, not including playing games or practicing with your team, you'll be fine. but it has to be locked in and focused. You can't be messing around. If you want to mess around, then 2 hours of messing around. Got it?
Sound good? All right, thanks, Matt. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Mamba.